Hello everyone, welcome back to TWIC, This Week in Comics, which is the weekly comic book show that I upload weekly. Yeah, I do it weekly. Anyways, today we've got some interesting news. We got some new creative teams announced after DC Future State. If you don't know what DC Future State is a new DC event that's going to be taking place in January, February. They're going to be putting all their current books on hold while this event takes place for 2 months in the future with different creative teams and a bunch of interesting things going on. And then after that, things are going to resume where they left off, but we're also going to be getting new creative teams. One of those new creative teams involves a man named Jeff Thorne, I believe. He was a guy that was I believe an actor in like the 80s and 90s. I think he failed at that and then went and became like a writer that didn't do too much, but now he's writing Green Lantern, and this wouldn't be too much news other than the fact that, hey, new writer on Green Lantern. I believe I haven't really been keeping up with Green Lantern, but I believe like the only Green Lantern book we have right now is I believe it's just the Grant Morrison book. I think I read the first season because they called it a season of Green Lantern for Grant Morrison, and then fell off after that. I enjoyed it, but I fell off after that, and so I haven't really been keeping up with what's currently going on with Green Lantern. But I believe that's the only Green Lantern book going on, if it's still going on. I'm not sure if their season's ended or not, because I know Grant Morrison just wanted to do a limited run and then call it quits. Anyways, we're getting this new writer on Green Lantern after DC Future State. So he'll be writing the DC Future State Green Lantern book, and then he'll be writing the Green Lantern book after DC Future State as well, so the main book. What's big about this guy writing this is the fact that he has the biggest hate boner for Hal Jordan ever. I'm serious. I'm not joking here. This guy's tweets, his tweet history is insane if you search up Hal Jordan. Now, I can't do that because I'm blocked, because every great comic book writer just blocks everyone. So I'm not particularly sure what I did to get blocked by this guy, but I'm blocked by him. Which again, another great mark of a good comic book writer, blocking people you've never even interacted with. Anyways, so I can't look at that, but there are a bunch of articles that have archived his tweets, so I went and took screenshots from there, and this guy has dozens upon dozens of tweets over the years talking about how much he absolutely hates Hal Jordan. He despises him. It's not just oh, it's a character I don't like, or he's joking around. He despises Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan did something personally to him. I don't know what happened, but it feels like Hal Jordan did something personal to him, even though Hal Jordan's a fictional character. I don't know what happened, but he had to have had some traumatic childhood experience to hate Hal Jordan this much. I don't know if there's a character in all of fiction that I hate as much as this guy hates Hal Jordan. So there's a billion tweets about Hal Jordan that he put up, so I'm not going to be reading all of them. I'll just be summarizing some of them. So a lot of the points he makes, one of them is that he said that Hal Jordan is a cardboard cutout of Jon Stewart, that he's the cardboard version of Jon Stewart, which is kind of interesting because it's weird that the guy that came first is the cardboard cutout of a guy that came after. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense there, but I don't think Jeff really thought that one through. But yeah, he describes Hal as the cardboard version of the less interesting version of Jon. Again, doesn't really make a lot of sense, because if one copied one, then it's Jon Stewart who would be the copy of Hal. That's just how it works. It's weird. He says that the only interesting thing Hal's ever done was the Parallax storyline, and he says that a lot. Also, all these points that I'm summarizing here, he says 10 times each. He talks about Hal being a cardboard cutout of Jon 5 separate times at least. Same with Hal being the only interesting thing he did with Parallax. He says it a bunch of times. I swear, he doesn't make one point and then move on. He makes that point several times throughout the years. He says that DC could have had that Black Panther money if they would have used Hal instead of Jon Stewart on the Green Lantern movie, which is, I don't know if you watched that movie, but the fact that they chose Hal was not the problem with that movie. And I don't think just, hey, it's a black guy, so every single black person will go see it. I don't think that's how it works. If so, why didn't Blade make $1 billion? Yeah, and Blade was a good movie. Both the Blade 1 and 2 were good movies, but those didn't make that much money because it's not just because it's a black guy. I don't think that's how it works. If you had the same quality of movie that you had with Green Lantern 2009, but you substituted Jon Stewart, nothing would have changed. Nothing would have been better. But according to this guy, it was all because it was Hal. There's also, he talks about how he wouldn't watch a Green Lantern Corps show if Hal was even a part of it. Because people talk about, I believe someone tagged him in an article talking about the Green Lantern Corps TV show that we're going to be getting with HBO Max. And someone was like, oh man, are you excited about this? And he's like, not if Hal's in it. If Hal's in it, I'm not watching it. Someone's like, well, what if Hal was the number 2 Lantern to Jon being number 1? He's like, nope, I won't watch any show with Hal in it. like, damn, this guy really hates Hal Jordan, like, with a passion. And he also does not like Jeff Johns. He talks about, like, Jeff Johns basically fanboying over Hal Jordan. He doesn't like that he brought Hal back, and there's a lot of tweets on there about him not being a fan of Jeff Johns. And see, none of this would be a problem if he wasn't writing this said character that he hates. It's like, and again, it's not like a one-off, like, oh man, I don't like that Hal Jordan guy, or man, Jon Stewart's my favorite Green Lanter, I like him a lot better than Hal Jordan. It's like just constant spewing hate. I think he's a guy that watched the Justice League TV show and was like, Jon Stewart's the best Green Lantern ever, I love him. And he read a comic and he's like, man, why is everything about Hal? Why isn't it about the guy from the TV show? And he just got really butthurt, and that's why he hates Hal Jordan. That's what I would guess. I think I'm probably right in that assumption, but this dude, man, does he hate Hal Jordan. But yeah, I think this is a really bad look for DC to get this guy. He talks about how I believe he made some comments, because this kind of blew up. He made some comments talking about how, oh, this is me talking as a fan, I'll be objective and I won't write like this. But it's like, I don't think so. With how he talked about how he can't even watch a TV show that Hal would be in the background of, that Hal would be a secondary character of, that makes me think that, yeah, no, you're not going to be able to be objective about this and just be a writer. Like, you're too much of a fan. It's not going to work out. So, not the biggest fan of that, but moving on to our next story, we have another creative team announced. We have Mariko Tamaki and Dan Mora will be taking over for Detective Comics in March after DC Future State. So they're going to be writing the Dark Detective storyline in DC Future State, and then afterwards they'll be taking over Detective Comics from Peter Tomasi, which sucks because from what the artist was saying, from what the artist on Detective Comics was saying, they definitely didn't choose to get off Detective Comics. They were kicked off for this new creative team, which sucks because I really like the current creative team. They're really good, and they're one of the most consistently solid books at DC right now. And this is the second time in a row that Tomasi has had a good run and then gets kicked off for a subpar writer. So that sucks because he had a great run on Superman, and they're like, goodbye, Bendis is coming in. It's like, and because Tomasi did not want to end his run there. And then they give him Detective Comics. Does a good job with Detective Comics. Not as good as with Superman, but still a solid book. There are some great moments in there. And then they kick him off of there. And it's like, why? And for Mariko Tamaki, this is someone that hasn't written anything good. She wrote a subpar story in Detective Comics 1027. Dan Mora is a great artist, I will say that. I really enjoy his art. He's really solid. But Mariko Tamaki hasn't really written anything. And the stuff that she has written isn't very good. I don't know why you would give her Detective Comics. I don't know why you wouldn't give her something else. It doesn't make sense why you'd give her such a big book, especially when you have Tomasi on there. Hopefully this opens the door for Tomasi to do something else, maybe come back to Superman, probably not. But it'd be cool for him to get on another premiere book, maybe go back to Nightwing even. That would be cool. I would love to see him on like Nightwing or Superman, or even take over Justice League, because Justice League's kind of lost right now. But yeah, it sucks to see him kicked off the Tech Comics for Mariko Tamaki. So not excited about that. And then sort of the last thing I want to talk about today is about the Deathstroke that we were going to see in Ben Affleck's Batman movie. Because recently, Joe Manganiello, I pronounced it right. Joe Manganiello, who's the guy that played Deathstroke in Justice League and was going to play Deathstroke in the Batman movie that was going to be directed by Ben Affleck, he had an interview and he was talking about how in that story it was going to be sort of like The Game from David Fincher, which that and Zodiac are my top two favorite David Fincher movies. So that sounded awesome. He's talking about how Slade was going to sort of systematically dismantle Bruce's life because Bruce has a vendetta. I mean, Slade has a vendetta against Bruce because he did something to him, like, personally. So that part I'm not the biggest fan of, because, so, if you guys have been around for the channel for a while, you know that I am a huge Deathstroke fan. He's my second favorite comic book character behind Superman. I love Deathstroke so much, and I feel like he gets a bad rap a lot. Like, people write him terribly. He's been Boba Fetted to death, where it's just like, he looks cool, so let's have him go get beat up by people. They'll raise their stature because they beat up Deathstroke. He's been ruined over the years. We haven't had a good run on Deathstroke in forever. I wasn't the biggest fan of Christopher Priest's run. I know a lot of people were, but to me, it was just like, prior to Priest, it was garbage, and then with Priest, it was subpar. So it's like, that's not really much of an upgrade. And I felt like he didn't understand the character a whole lot. But anyways, with this movie, it was another thing where it's like, oh, Deathstroke's a Batman villain. No, he's not. He's not a Batman villain. He has a stronger connection to Nightwing and Green Arrow than he does to Batman. I hate that they try to make him a Batman villain. Batman's just a guy that occasionally he comes across little butt heads. He has no personal connection to him. They're not like hero and villain. It's not how it works. But they're trying to give a personal connection to him and have him be really upset with Bruce, try to dismantle his life. The storylines sound cool, but I don't like him having a connection to Bruce. It's dumb. I'm not a fan of that. But he also talked about the Deathstroke solo movie and some of the cool stuff that he wanted to do with that, and how he came up with a really good treatment for it. Like, him and another guy had written the script for it, and like they had it, and they had gone through many versions of it, and they were going to do it, and then that got scrapped once Justice League failed, which sucked because Manganiello sounds really stoked about it, and Manganiello seems really passionate about it, which is cool, because you get a lot of people in these comic movies that aren't really fans of the characters, or they kind of just do it, you know, for the paycheck, and they're like, enjoy the movies, but that is it. But Manganiello is like legitimately a fan of Deathstroke once he got the role. Like, he got into it and he loved the character, which is really cool to see. You don't get that a whole lot. And he still has passion for it, and he's hoping after HBO Max he can do it. Like, he helped write the script for the movie. Like, that you don't see everyone doing that. Not everyone, because they don't have to. These actors don't have to, but he loved the character so much. So I'm hoping he gets to do his treatment, but some of the stuff sound cool. And I'm kind of glad we get the, like, I wanted the Deathstroke solo movie, but the Deathstroke Batman movie, I know a lot of people want it. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the things they had in there, especially because Ben Affleck, when talking about Deathstroke, talked about how he was a fan of the New 52 version. New 52 version is like the worst version. It's terrible. But yeah, that's about it for this week in comics. I just want to talk about that. Please let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of this new Green Lantern writer that hates Hal Jordan, who is my favorite Green Lantern, and to me the most interesting Green Lantern. I like John Stewart as well, but to like a Green Lantern, to be a fan of Green Lantern in general and not like Hal Jordan, just makes no sense to me. I can understand, like, if you don't like Guy or if you don't like Kyle or something, but if you don't like Hal, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, he's the granddaddy of the Green Lantern Corps itself. Now, obviously, you have Alan, who's the original Green Lantern, but not of, like, the, you know, the Space Green Lantern Corps. His whole thing's different. So to be a fan of, like, the Green Lanterns and then not like Hal doesn't make any sense, especially not like Jeff Johns with what he did with Green Lantern. It makes no sense to me. But yeah, I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below of the new creative team we got on Green Lantern, Detective Comics, and what you thought of what we heard about the new Deathstroke, what could have been with the Deathstroke movie. Hope we still get that movie though. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys later. Peace.